Alright everyone, it's time for Vermont Issues, episode 75, the abnormally warm September that we've gone through for this year. What it hopefully means for us, weather-wise. Some reflections on fairly recent last half-decade or so of winters, and what I hope for this winter. What I'm hoping for is that it's mild. I don't care if winter is kind of on the long snowy side as long as it's kind of on the warm side. And I don't care if it gets cold as long as it's a bit shorter and maybe a little bit less snow to have to shovel. Like the most miserable it can get is, oh yeah, you just got like 2 feet of snow overnight that you have to shovel. And then the bottom drops out. No, yeah, it might reach 1 degree today. That's the most miserable of all. If it's one or the other, just a lot of snow or just a lot of cold, okay, it's bearable. You know, you can stoke up the fire and sit next to it. Maybe we'll have Sticks fireside chats. By the way, that winter that I was doing that, why was I huddled next to the fire? In the middle of a polar vortex. It was miserable. Even indoors, when it gets to a certain temperature threshold, when it gets cold enough, unless your home is massively overbuilt and extremely well insulated, that cool air is going to seep inside a little bit unless you want to keep your furnace running 24/7. Not exactly the most fun thing to have to do. You know, let me crank it to 75 so that the house stays at 65 because, you know, you lose heat out windows and things. I've thought about getting all the windows in here replaced, getting more insulation put in the half attic that we've got. That'd be funny. My hope, though, is that September, which was freakishly warm, that general weather trend will persist. It looks like we may get lucky and that may at least happen through autumn. If it happens through like October and November, so it's, you know, a bit warmer than normal, going into winter is a lot easier because it feels shorter. Sometimes winter in this state begins in early November. Like 2 years ago, I think we had that freakish blizzard that came through. And it was the first week, I think, of November, which is abnormally a lot of snow. It's not often that we get that much snow that early on. Usually there's plenty of years we don't even get any snow until December other than in the higher elevations. That's more normal. But then again, there was also that year that on the solstice itself, late December, we're talking about it's getting close to Christmas, there was no snow cover, and the ground theoretically could actually be worked at that time. It hadn't even frozen. My hope is that it'll be like that winter, because I look back at like the polar vortex, and it was miserable. And then I look back, and in the last, however many years, there have been a couple of winters that are on the mild side. One that was extremely cold, and the rest were kind of close to normal. Usually, you get lucky, and it's either a little bit warmer than the normal winter trend in general. You'll still get some cold snaps, trust me, even in the warmest winters. Or it's a little bit shorter and less snowy. Like, I think it was 2011. That winter was, if I remember correctly, the one that was extremely mild. Mid-winter temperatures, like, you're talking around my birthday, it's hovering around 35, 40 degrees. That feels warm by Vermont standards in the middle of January. 35, 40 degrees is t-shirt weather. I'm not shitting you. There are plenty of times in midwinter, you've got a foot of snow on the ground. I'm going out to get the mail. I don't even bother putting shoes on. I'm walking barefoot through the snow because it'll be above 30 or 35, and to me it feels really warm. So my feet get a little bit chilly, but I'm just like, well, I want to strip down and not even have a shirt on because it's sunny. It feels like spring is impending. Even if it's a total lie, it tricks my body, and for a short time I feel a little bit better about myself. Now, of course, it would be nice to go to a warmer climate for the whole winter. Say, oh, yeah, I think I'll go down to south of the Mason-Dixon line for a few weeks. And then I'll go to the Mid-Atlantic. And then, I'll go visit the Amazon. I think that would be quite wonderful. I may actually do that. I've thought about visiting southern Texas again, like this winter. Going down to South Padre Island, or even just hanging out in the McAllen area, do some shopping or something. Because it's warm. The idea of winter down there is like, oh yeah, it's only 70 degrees today. Whoa, it's time to put on a sweater. Meanwhile, I'd be departing from Burlington, where it'd probably be 15, 20, if you're lucky, 25, 30 degrees. Get down there and you're sweating. And I've done that before. I did go down for winter break once to southern Texas. Also went down to Florida during a winter break once. I mean, people who haven't left the northern regions of the country, I don't think would even believe it, the temperature difference that exists. You get down there, what happens is, like when I went down to Texas, I think it was about 20 degrees up in Burlington. I was at UVM at the time, so fairly standard temperatures, and you go through Newark, I get to Newark, you do go outside during transiting between terminals, or at least you did back then. I think they've got a built-in one now. I think they expanded. So it's cold, it's snowy, a little bit more mild. I think it was like 30 there or something. So it's like, this is a little bit of improvement. Get down to, I think, went through the Houston airport and then to Harlingen. And by the time I get out of the airport there, I'm looking full sun, 70, 75 degrees, palm trees and cacti everywhere. I'm like, I'm back in paradise. This is wonderful. So I'm hoping for a mild winter. I don't care. Some people are like, climate change is going to strangulate New England. I was promised when I went to college, freshman year of college, I think exactly 10 years ago. No, 9, actually, technically speaking. Go there, take, I think it was an ecology class at the time. And the professor's like, oh yeah, in 10 years, Vermont will have the climate of southern Ohio, and 5 years later of Georgia. Well, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for that nice 40-degree December day to come along. I'm still waiting to see, like, alligators and boa constrictors, and, like, I can grow palm trees, or I can just grow my crops any time of year. I'm still waiting for that. I don't have it yet. I don't see any palmetto plants around here. I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping that they're right. But then, of course, shortly thereafter, global warming was turned into climate change, and they said, it might actually get colder. Might actually get snowier. Well, what a cock tease. I was hoping that it would literally be tropical. I was hoping the Amazon rainforest has deforestation issues. Why don't we just start another Amazon rainforest in the Midwest or something like that? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Rainforests will make a comeback. You look outside here in Vermont, it's more like, the sign of global warming is that giant melting glacier up in the mountains. I joke, there's no actual glaciers here, but you know what I mean. So I'm hoping, I don't care if it's snowy. Having to shovel snow is only a problem when it is very cold. So the worst thing that can happen is weather takes a shit on you. Oh yes, 2-3 feet of snow outside. That does happen here, by the way. And then it gets cold. Because of course, if it's too cold, it tends not to be snowy at the same time. So that's the worst possible scenario. And every winter it does happen. It's just a matter of how much snow, how cold has it gotten. September was freakishly warm. For most of September, we were a good 10 to 15 degrees above the normal temperature. Even now, it feels chillier. But this is the average temperature for this time of year, and I think it's supposed to, in the next 3 days, go back up to the low mid-70s. That's extremely warm for early October. In Vermont, trust me, foliage is held off. I think for some areas, we should technically be at peak foliage right now. I'm looking outside at the leaves are barely changing color. It looks like some of them stalled out and stopped changing for a while. I think that's related to sunlight, which is the odd part. So I don't know exactly what's going on. But hold off on your leaf peeping plans for a couple more days, and then you should be good to go. But for the next 3 days, it's going to be warm and dry, as far as I saw. We got a shit ton of rain last night, which is good. We did need that. We were beginning to enter a mild drought. Now it looks wet and actually quite foggy outside, like you can't even see the mountains like normal. I love it. Yeah, I bring on the warmth. Bring on the nice green Christmas. That's something that I've never actually seen. I've never gone through a Christmas in my life where there wasn't snow cover. Which is pretty fucking sad because, Santa Claus, he wants to be on the beach sipping a margarita too. He doesn't want to have to deal with that bull crap. Everyone thinks that he's happy and jolly. Why do you think he's storing up so much blubber and insulation in that suit of his? He's fucking freezing. He needs more cookies, so you better be leaving him some. Don't leave him milk. Leave him like a protein shake. I think Santa Claus might be lactose intolerant, so leave him some almond milk maybe. I wonder if any families do that. Wonder if their kids can't have dairy, so they're like, oh, it's okay. Santa loves almond milk. Don't worry, Santa loves these vegan cookies, no butter used. I know, I'm getting off on a tangent, but it's funny to think about. But as we enter October, my hope is that it's still warmer than normal. At least through October. Come on, give me a fairly decent, nice, warm Halloween season to deal with. After that, we can talk snow. Okay, then it's fine. Once you get into November, it's like, okay, let's get some refreshing going on. Have a foot on the ground. And then it can melt. Early, preferably. Like, early February or something. But, yeah. I'm hoping that it's a warm year indeed. For some of you, though, you're going to get a colder than normal winter. I don't think there's ever been a time where the whole continental U.S. gets the same general trend going. Usually it's one part of the country enjoys itself, another gets slammed by the extreme cold weather or drought hits or something. So hopefully no droughts in your area. That's about all. Peace out.